Since release, Beenox have added 4 brand new tracks to CTR Nitro-Fueled, but just how good are they? To answer this question, we're going to look at some of the best tracks from the base game and ask what makes them so great and whether any of the new tracks include any of those brilliant features. A big thank you to Gulherm Silver. I'm sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, but thank you for your comment on the community post which inspired this and next week's video. Now, today I'm also going to talk about your comments as we go through too, but please don't be offended if I miss anybody's out in the video or if I only mention parts of what you've said. I honestly read them all from top to bottom, and I am so grateful that such a number of you took the time to respond, no matter how big or small that response was. At the end of this video today, I'll also throw another question at you, which is even more creative and interesting, so hopefully you'll take the opportunity to get involved again. One final thing before we jump in, please remember to hit that like button if you do enjoy, it means a lot to us. And also the biggest thing obviously is to subscribe if you want to see more Crash content every Wednesday. So to understand just how good or bad these 4 brand new Beenox tracks are, we need some criteria to mark them against. To get that criteria, we're going to look at 5 of the best / most popular tracks in CTR Nitro-Fueled from the base game and look at just what makes them so good. Before somebody gets very angry, just please note, these aren't necessarily my top 5 tracks in CTR Nitro-Fueled, they're just tracks that I enjoy and people who commented on the post enjoy, and therefore I think we can take quite a lot from them. The first track to talk about from the base game is Engine Labs, which is one of my personal favourites. It's got high speed sections, it's quite challenging, there's plenty of jumps to master, and the different elements like the speed tunnel really set it apart from most other tracks. I really like the layout basically, I think it's high speed and challenging. Aesthetically, the track is stunning as well. I love the eerie green glow from the nuclear waste type liquids, whilst the whole look of the place engages you in a real shady enclosed experience. Another track just like Engine Labs, which is a really quick experience and also has plenty of jumps to try and master, is Polar Pass. Now, if nothing else, I just really enjoy this track just for driving it. So from the start when I was really bad at this game, and I know I'm not a professional now and there's loads of people better, but when I was really bad, it was still one of those tracks that I wanted to race. And it's nice that it includes things like the slippy ice and also the seals, which are trying their best to get run over. The level is easily one of my favourites visually too, with the snow and ice looking stunning. So at this point we're probably starting to realise that entertaining racing, and more specifically high speed racing and very nice visuals, is a good way to be considered a good track, and that's probably why Electron Avenue is a lot of people's favourite track. Now, Gulherm Silver highlighted the merits of this track, and I have to agree with what they said. Basically, this track is just great for high-speed racing. One other thing I'd like to mention though, and this is something Polar Pass and a few of the others do include, Electron Avenue has a nice shortcut. It's just a shame that I can't pull it off. But what we can take from that is that having shortcuts is always a good thing for a track, especially when they can be quite effective and quite skill-based. However, tracks don't necessarily have to be 1000 miles per hour to be good. As Bribery commented, Cortex Castle is a very enjoyable experience, and that's got a lot of sharp turns and offers a different challenge to maintaining Blue Fire. Another track which is really interesting and which Sodo and Jacob mentioned is Slide Coliseum. Now, I went and raced on Slide Coliseum to make this video, and I forgot just how tricky them turns can be, so sometimes challenges don't necessarily have to be really high speed. So overall, the criteria we're going to be looking at are some of the following. Most importantly, a track has got to be a challenge. Now, some of you mentioned Hot Air Skyway, but I couldn't possibly put that on here as it torments the life out of me. But that challenge can either be with the crazy high speed racing and big falls like Electron Avenue or Hot Air Skyway, or perhaps sharp turns like Cortex Castle has and so many other levels have. However, I would say that speed, and especially Blue Fire speed at some point in the circuit, it doesn't necessarily have to be all the time, does seem necessary to most people, and shortcuts are always welcome, especially when they are creative. On the other side of things, it's important that tracks not only feel good, but they actually look great as well. Incredible designs are obviously going to help engage you with the circuit, and another thing we didn't really touch on, but is important, is the soundtrack as well. I'm a big fan of Electron Avenue's soundtrack, for example, and things like that can really help my experience of a circuit. So with both those things in mind, both the layout and how the track races, and how the track looks and feels, let's rank the tracks that Beenox have brought out post-release and see just how good they are. So in 4th place, and my least favourite of Beenox's new creations, is Twilight Tour, because I just don't find it that interesting. Now don't get me wrong, some parts of this circuit can really be challenging, but overall I just don't find it that engaging really. You can actually build up some good speed if you can maintain blue fire across the lap. It is possible to maintain it for quite a bit, and there are actually a few nice shortcuts. Although when we compare things like the layout and the shortcuts to some of the best ones that we've already talked about and some of the best ones in the game, it just doesn't really cut it. Another thing I've got to say on Twilight Tour is that the aesthetics of the track, to me, aren't so engaging. Now I know a lot of people enjoy them, so I'm not saying it's not for everybody, but just in my opinion, it's not really my cup of tea. From what I've seen from a lot of other people, Twilight Tour often ranked at the bottom of these circuits, so I don't think I'm on my own in this. If we are to take Beenox's creation of Twilight Tour and put it against some of the best tracks in CTR, I have to say it's a subpar start, but we are at number 4, so things can only get better. Moving up a place to number 3, and a track which I actually really like, but overall it really divides opinion, is the Spyro circuit. Now, if you compare it to some of the best tracks in the game, the Spyro circuit isn't really pulling up too many trees, so to speak. However, if you are a Spyro fan, then it is an incredible level. The aesthetics and feel and the sounds of the Spyro circuit are just so engaging if you love the purple dragon. However, the layout probably isn't on the same level in most people's opinion. That's not to say I dislike the layout, I actually made a video defending it, but it doesn't have so much. It's got some great challenging bends like Cortex Castle has and things like that, but some of the other features aren't quite there. So it doesn't offer blue fire, which is a big problem for a lot of people. There's no shortcuts, so people were disappointed there too, and it's just sort of a little bit uninspiring. In all fairness, if they'd have drawn inspiration from a level like Treetops, the Spyro circuit could have been a lot better. In the Spyro circuit's case then, I don't think Beenox did a bad job, I just think they could have done better, and sadly, a lot of people aren't so positive on it. Moving up in the world now, we're going to talk about Prehistoric Playground, which takes 2nd place out of the 4 new tracks. Now this is the first track on this list that I think can really hold its own against some of the good tracks in CTR. Ant-Man and Don't You Get Caught Some Days also said it'd be fun, especially when we're looking at dinos moving. Yay, dinosaurs, I'm about 3 in the head. Anyway, I really could have put this first, and in comparison to good and popular CTR tracks from the base game, this really is the first one that stands up well against them. There's plenty of boost pads and jumps that offer the opportunity to obtain some really quick speeds, and especially online against other opponents and other real people, I feel that the track really can be challenging. Overall, the layout's good, it's fast and it's competitive. There's also a couple of shortcuts too to attempt, which the first one is really difficult, but I feel like they're good to have there, and they're actually reminiscent of some of the best shortcuts in the CTR game. It's not just the layout though that is brilliant, the aesthetics of this with the dinosaurs, it's a really good and interesting track, not just to race but look at. So overall, this is one of Beenox's best creations thus far, and I'm hoping that in the future more tracks will be like this. However, it does get even better, because in 1st place it's Nina's Nightmare, which is one of probably the best tracks in the whole of CTR, and it's certainly a lot of people's favourites of Beenox's new circuit. Christopher Mendez, Crash Bandicoot Fangirl, and Adrian all said that this was the best of the new tracks. The track has so much challenge and speed to it, which is way more than I first thought when I originally saw it, and out of all the new circuits, Nina's Nightmare is the track that most resembles the tough but real high-speed gameplay offered by some of the brilliant tracks in the base game, such as Electron Avenue, which we discussed earlier. What I love most about Nina's Nightmare is it's not just the great jumps or the interesting shortcuts or the fact that blue fire speed really is achievable and fun to use around it. It's that towards the end of the lap you have that sort of combination with tight turns like we get in Cortex Castle when we're going through the Academy of Evil inspired section, right at the end near the start line. I absolutely love that, and I think the fact that this track combines both the high speeds and that tighter section is what really makes it stand apart from the rest in my opinion. However, the track does also include some really cool Halloween visual elements which really immersed me in the Halloween theme of the track, and it pulls bits and pieces from the Academy of Evil, which is also really fantastic, although I kind of wish they'd have done slightly more of it. This is not just one of our favourite tracks of Beenox's creation, it's also one of our favourite tracks in the whole game. It's definitely, I'd say, in my top 5 just for the enjoyment. Overall then, comparing Beenox's 4 brand new tracks to some of the best ones from the base game, I've got to say we have a really mixed bag. On one hand, Beenox haven't excelled with tracks like Twilight Tour, and the layout of the Spyro circuit could undoubtedly have been better and more appealing to more people, but Prehistoric Playground and Nina's Nightmare are both really good and interesting tracks. I think overall what we can take from what Beenox have produced so far is if they get it right, then they can do a really good job. They just need to avoid some blunders basically. It'll be fascinating to see what Beenox create in the next 2 Grand Prix, and let's face it, they are quite important tracks. If Beenox do well with these 2, then we'll say, well, they did 4 out of 6 well, the Spyro circuit looked good, it just kind of lacked a bit with the layout, and we'll all be very happy and be encouraged for Beenox to progress with the Crash Racing franchise and maybe make another game. If there's 2 more kind of disappointing tracks, then we'll probably be less optimistic. However, this is where we bring you back in. In next week's video, we're going to be looking at where Beenox should go next with tracks. Now there's 2 elements of this. One, what do you want to see in the next tracks? So I'm thinking things like blue fire, cool shortcuts. But secondly, more importantly and more creatively, what levels from Crash games or maybe some other franchises do you want to inspire the new tracks? Obviously we have a more specific Academy of Evil track we could do or something like that, but what do you want to see? What levels do you really want to see come to CTR? Please leave your comments down in the comment section below, and obviously I'll put those into the next video. I'm also interested to hear any thoughts you have on this video here today. Did you like the concept? What did you think to the decisions we made? And what's your favourite track out of the brand new 4? If you have enjoyed today though, please do go on and like this video, it really does help us out. And if you want to see more Crash content every Wednesday, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, that would really be appreciated. Anyway, thank you so much for your time today and for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday for the second part of this series.